Is your avoidant ex coming back, or you're simply wasting your time? In this video, I will show you 3 things you can check today to get a clear answer. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Alexis. I'm a therapist based in London. I used to be dismissive avoidant myself, hence the name of this channel, The Avoidant Therapist. My mission is to replace relationship guesswork with clarity so you can feel secure, decide wisely, and never lose yourself again. If you're watching this and wondering if you have any chance of getting back with your ex, or even if it's the right thing to do, I've created a free assessment that gives you clarity. It's based on attachment science, and it will show you whether your ex is still emotionally engaged, if reconnection is possible, and how ready you are mentally and emotionally. What you have to do is just answer a few questions, and you'll get a personalized breakdown within 2 minutes. You can find the link of this assessment below in the description. So if you're lost and confused after this breakup, I've designed an assessment with 3 major dimensions. Things that I've discovered and realized after helping people in similar situations. You don't need like thousands of criteria. These 3 ones will cover most of what you need to know. The first one is viability test, whether a healthy relationship is possible with this person. The second one is around emotional regulation test. So sometimes people feel like, yeah, it's the right relationship, but are you ready emotionally? Have you built the self-esteem, the self-confidence to be in this relationship, or to break the contact, or to contact them? The third one is around receptivity, is around whether they're available. Is it the right time to reconnect? Because when you deal with an avoidant, timing is critical. And I'll explain that in a second. I will detail these 3 pillars one by one, and also different tips depending on your results. If you pass those 3 dimensions, great. Does it mean you're going to get back together? No. Be aware of things where you have 100% guarantee that you're going to get back together if you manifest this or if you use this formula. It's not an exact science. Psychology, human beings are not hard science. There's always an element of uncertainty because we're dealing with human beings, because people have hidden agenda, because I'm not in your ex's mind, you're not in their mind, and I know you're spending most of your night trying to get inside their mind, but that's not how it works. So the point is to proceed slowly and assess whether actually there's a future relationship with this person. Now, if you fail anyone, does it mean you're never going to get back together? No. Again, there's a lot of uncertainty, and the point is to give you a sense of where you are, and also give you a sense of where you need to work, the things you need to assess, and the things you need to improve. So the first dimension is viability test. It's basically assessing whether this relationship is something you should rescue. The problem when you have an anxious attachment style, or more generally after a breakup, is there's this cognitive bias around the fear of loss that make you somehow amplify the good side, disregard the negative side. When you have an anxious attachment style, you have a deep fear of abandonment usually. And so after a breakup, the initial reaction is the only way for me to heal, to feel better, is to get back with this person. This is not always the right decision. And so you need to assess rationally and not emotionally the true nature of the relationship. Maybe you have this idea of potential. Okay, let's discuss about this potential. 3 things. The growth mindset. If you're here watching this video, it's the result of a breakup. So something was not working. Whether you're responsible, whether it's your ex, there's always an element, some things need to change. When you have a fixed mindset, which is the opposite of a growth mindset, you're in the mindset of this is who I am, take it or leave it. So if you want to repair something, address things with your ex, and they are in this fixed mindset, it's a dead end, and you won't be able to repair things because you need to be 2 to repair and change things. Now, obviously, if you're watching this video, you have a growth mindset because you have this belief, and it's not only a belief because studies have shown that it's a real thing, that you can change, that you can progress. And by the way, well done if you're watching this video, because you're doing the work, because you are amongst a very small proportion of people who are willing to do the work and improve every single day having this mindset of, okay, this breakup is tough. What can I do today to feel better than yesterday? To learn, to be a better partner, a better person than yesterday. And well done for watching this video. I'm here to help you and I'm here to support you in that way. Now, the second thing around the viability is accountability, which is sometimes very hard to get from an avoidant partner. Is this idea of you messed up, they messed up. Okay, again, you're watching this video, you're trying to address things to improve. What about them? So it's not enough to say, okay, I can change. It's also, okay, I take accountability for my part. The hurt, the resentment, my behaviors, the dynamic that I created or that I fueled, etc., etc. And the third one is around shared vision. My wife always tells me, if you want to be in a happy relationship, if you want a thriving relationship, you need projects. So the problem is that her projects are around, doing works at the house, which I'm not a big fan of, but that's another story. But it's important because, again, this idea of commitment, this idea of clarity is about, okay, can we see things the same way? Can we project ourselves together? If you can't answer those questions and you have this clash of you want a certain life, you want a certain clarity around commitment, and they can't give it to you, your relationship is doomed. And yes, that might be an amazing person. There's potential, but you will never be able to experience this potential that you are projecting yourself. So first element is viability test. Second element, which is very important if you have an anxious attachment style, is around emotional regulation. And it's something I usually focus on with my clients. First, it's about, okay, now you're distressed. Now you can't sleep. Now you have problem being focused at work. Okay, what can we do now to feel better on your own, to self-soothe? The thing is, again, something needs to change. The relationship that you deserve, the relationship you need to build with your partner, needs to be a secure relationship. So yes, studies have shown that if you're secure and secure, the level of satisfaction is similar to secure. However, my view is that it doesn't really matter if your ex is avoidant or if your partner is avoidant. The point is trying to develop secure habit, secure dynamic. Right now, the point is not to control your ex or your partner, is to do your homework and try to build that secure attachment yourself. Right now, it's about that emotional regulation, those boundaries, the cognitive reframing, about your beliefs around relationship. The fact that, you won't find anyone else, you're not worthy of love, you can't be happy on your own, etc. So reframing those things. That will also help you with the emotional elements. This is very important, specifically if you're watching this video and you're in no contact and you're about to break no contact. This is going to be tough. This is going to be tough because when you break no contact, or if you're in touch with your ex, you're going to have highs and lows. You're going to get triggered along the way. You're going to feel anxious between messages. So if you don't have the right emotional regulation system in place, what will happen is that you're going to trigger your partner. You're going to create a dynamic where your ex will withdraw because you won't be able to help it. Those emotions will drive protest behaviors. That's how it's called in attachment theory. Those protest behaviors will activate or deactivate the attachment system in your avoidant partner, and you're going to get into this push-pull danger zone that is described in the book Attached, where it's going to be very hard to repair the relationship and actually would make it worse. And the problem is that after a breakup, we are more emotional than when we are in a stable relationship. So it's important to really work on that as part of trying to repair the relationship. Now, the third pillar is around receptivity. Avoidance needs space. Okay, that's what we do when we are overwhelmed, when we are triggered. We don't want to connect. We don't want to be reassured. We want to be on our own. So after a breakup, you need to give them space. And that's true, not for 80% of cases, for 100% of the case. Now, the thing is, how long, when you should break the contact, should you break the contact? That's another part of the story. The point is to assess depending on the dynamic, assess depending on your relationship. And again, if you take the assessment, you'll have more clarity on that. Even if they are breadcrumbing, even if they are trying, that's a sign. The point as well is you will never be able to get back together if there's no communication, no reconciliation. So again, it really depends on cases. My view is that no contact is not helpful if it's less than a month or 45 days or a month and a half. Then, and I'll give you in a second this idea of timeline. I don't feel, again, it depends on the length of the relationship. So if you've been together for 10 years and you go no contact for 3 months, that's not the end of the world. If you've been together for a year and you go no contact for 6 months, honestly, that's too long. So the point is the no contact is about giving your avoidant partner that space that they need to reflect, maybe feel the loss, but also be not sort of triggered by the breakup. My view is that more than 90 days won't change necessarily the dynamic. So people think like the longer it is, the better. Yes, at the beginning, but after a while, 3-4 months, I don't see any benefits. I don't see any upside in waiting forever. Now, my view is very personal. People would disagree, but I don't care because that's the methodology that I use and that works. If you don't have any news from your ex and you still can't move on, you still feel there's a future, yes, it's fine to reach out. What's the risk? The risk is that you might get disappointed, you might get triggered, and that's why it's important to have those strong emotional regulation tools in place. But the outcome is you also gain clarity. Even if it's negative, even if you don't get what you expect, i.e. getting back together or response, no response is a response. Now, most of the time, if you're watching this video, you know there's something. So most of the time, if you break the contact, they will reply, they will, you're going to have a conversation, etc. And this is how you need to assess that receptivity, whether it's positive, whether it's very cold, whether it's very distant, and over time, whether when you reach out, you have an answer, whether sometimes you initiate, etc., etc. It's obviously the evil is in the detail. The point of this assessment is to clear most of the noise and give you a bit of clarity. Being confused is normal. What you're experiencing is probably something new. Probably you were secure before. A lot of my clients, they tell me I was secure in my previous marriage, and now I met this person and my world is upside down. The point is here, the reason it's hard is because the fear is taking the lead. The problem is when we behave based on fear, when we make decisions based on fear, we usually regret. What happens as well is, specifically when you have an anxious attachment style, you will ruminate on small things. You will look at their social media stories. You will overanalyze everything. You will have highs, ups and downs. One day very hopeful, next day very depressed, and that's draining emotionally. So my advice is to focus on what you can control. I'm not the one who invented this. It's the Stoicism principle. It's 2,000 years old. It's this idea of, okay, if there's a situation I can't control, if there's a situation that gets me overwhelmed, let's focus on things, this element of control. Usually people have a hard time when they lack control, when they feel their life, you're on a treadmill, you're on a passenger seat. Okay, right now, if you want to feel good, actually, that's very mechanic. If you want to feel good right now, just focus on things you can control. That's why people enjoy mindfulness, because you're in control. You have the ability to focus yourself on you. Elements of assessing the relationship. So it's not dwelling on the past. It's not ruminating. With your friends, with a therapist, with someone, an accountability partner. And work at being more secure. You don't need your partner to be more secure. It's something you can develop on your own. When you do that, that gives you that confidence. That gives you also it's not the motivation, but the clarity to then potentially contact them, potentially communicate with them or reply to their message. Now, my view is very simple. Fix yourself a deadline. You don't want, because so many times I hear people calling me and they've been in that situation for 6 months, a year. The stress that you're experiencing right now is something you can reduce. It's something that you can shorten. My view is that getting back with someone or trying to repair a relationship, you should allocate 3 or 4 months of your life on this. Because it's not going to be nice. It's going to be potentially difficult emotionally. Right now, this is a project. Okay? Your focus is on that. And you have to design a life that support system, doing things that give you motivation, a sense of purpose, make you feel better. 3 or 4 months, treat yourself like a prince, like a princess. And you know there's a deadline. That's why I always ask people to set a deadline. A beginning, an end. Because at this deadline, you need to make a clear decision. Am I wasting time? Is it possible? So getting back with someone doesn't always take 3 or 4 months. Maybe it's longer. But the point is, at that 3 months mark, you know you're going in the right direction. You can see that they're investing. You can see that the dynamic of the relationship has fundamentally changed. The whole point is to make a decision. The whole point is not getting back with them. The whole point is making a decision based on your new secure self. When I work with my clients, or before I work with my clients, what we do is we have a very long session and we design a roadmap together. This roadmap gives you that sense of clarity, guidance, and this element of control. So every single week, then we can design, obviously. It's very much tailored on their situation and what happens along the way. But it gives you a roadmap of where you need to go and where you need to end. If you want us to discuss your roadmap, have a look in the description. I will put a link for you to book a very thorough and important and quite helpful strategy session with me one-on-one. I don't do these sessions very often, so grab yourself a slot if you can. Hopefully you'll have a slot when you click on the link, so we can discuss your situation in detail and you get away with your personalized high-level roadmap. It's only 30 minutes, so it's not the full thing, but give you enough clarity to get started. When you sign up as well, you receive, I usually share 1 coaching tool, things you can reflect on based on your situation. So it's very much like personalization of this experience, helping you to get clarity and move forward. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comment section. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.